Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It's actually evening where I am. I'm in Nigeria. Good evening and welcome to Enuani Cultural Forum, where we promote the rich cultural heritage of the Igbo people. And today we are looking at the differences between cultural identity and political identity. We have established this point earlier where we said that political identity is conferred on people by the government, while cultural identity is something you are born into. One's cultural identity remains permanent. It is unchanging. Now, that is what is called a nation. That is the major difference between a nation and a country. A nation can exist across countries. That is how a cultural identity can exist across different states, across different nations. For example, there are Igbo people all over the world. There are still Igbo people, irrespective of where they are found. That is a cultural identity. But a political identity deals with a boundary, a geographically defined boundary, while a cultural identity deals with cultural identity of people, their shared history and cultural practices, most times even traditions passed down from generation to generation. Welcome to Enuani Cultural Forum, and here we promote the rich cultural heritage of the Igbo people. Today we are looking at the differences between cultural identity and political identity. Example of a political identity is the country called Nigeria. It is a political identity, a name given to her by a woman named Flora Shaw. The country was also a business entity of the Royal Niger Company, who eventually had a deal with the British government, and then they started up what is called Nigeria today. It is a political entity. Within this political enclave, there are so many other cultural groups, and the one that is of our interest is the Igbo people. So the Igbo people are not restricted to the former Southeast region. It is not restricted to the present 5 states. It is cross-state cultural identity, so that Igbo people are found in over 13 states of the Federation of Nigeria and across several countries in Africa and other continents of the world. There is a Council of Igbo-speaking people in America. It is called CISA, Council of Igbo-speaking States, America. Now, this organization called CISA goes from community to community, state to state in America to induct people as Igbo people. This is recognizing that there are Igbo people in America, all over America, in Haiti, in Cuba, in Brazil, in the United States of America as well. West Virginia, Denver, Creeks, Detroit, everywhere that Igbo people were taken to. Because historically speaking, the port of Calabar, I've had the privilege of going to Marina where the ship docked, where our people were taken as captives, not really even slaves. Our people were never slaves. They were kidnapped and taken outside the shores of Africa, such that when they got there, some of our people rebelled. Probably they were drowned, and then the story started coming out that Igbo people, because they believed death was better than bondage, they began to drown themselves. It is against Igbo culture to drown yourself. It is against Igbo culture to lose your life, to take your own life. So, I believe, and it is also in line with Igbo custom, that our people did not drown. They didn't jump into the water and died. They had gotten there and refused to bow. They could not also be made to bow, so they were likely drowned. What I'm bringing out from here is that say 4 stories you are talking. I don't know who is this mad woman, Alan Rose. You can go back to your whatever you crawled out from. Go back to that hole where you crawled out from. You don't know what I'm discussing about. If you have any questions here, you can ask. If you have anything you want to also counter, you can counter. But you had all those other options. You did not explore it. Go back to the hole you crawled out from. Kelly, you are laughing. Crawl back into that hole where you came out. I don't know where you brought out that useless head from. So, as I was narrating, Ndi Igbo were taken from Marina in Calabar, outside the shores of Nigeria. Some were also taken from the ports of Onitsha. It is on record. I've seen the records of these people. Even the owner of the plantation at Denver Creek. I'm talking about slavery. Now, if you have anything to contribute about slavery, say it here. I'm listening. If you're saying anything about slavery, say it. I will respond. I'm saying that Igbos were captured, not bought, and taken into captivity. Most of them were kidnapped, stolen from Africa. I'm not saying that they were sold into slavery. Many of them were taken, kidnapped, and taken forcefully away from Africa, from Marina in Calabar. And I've gone to Marina severally, and were taken outside the shores of Nigeria. And when they arrived, where docked at Denver Creeks in the United States, many of them refused to become slaves. If you knew you were going into slavery, when you got there, why not continue as slave? They never knew they were being sold into slavery. So what I'm trying to say is that because of these activities, there are Igbos in Jamaica, in Haiti, in Cuba, in Gabon, in every part of the world, and that they are still Ndi Igbo, irrespective of where they are located. That is how a cultural identity is. Go to Brazil, you will see Yoruba people there. They are still Yoruba people. The fact that they are now in Brazil doesn't change the fact that they are Yoruba. And they are in Brazil. They are in Togo in their numbers. So I'm not discussing Yoruba. I'm not interested in promoting any other person's culture. I'm just using this as an example to you so that you don't say Ndi Igbo, they want to take everywhere. There are also the same stories for other people. The Luos of Africa are not just in Kenya, they are in Uganda and so many other places, and their cultures are similar. That's what I was saying, my dear Rose. Okay, you're talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu's case is not really our topic, but if this helps, the case will definitely go to appeal court. Okay? The judgment was issued at High Court. Nnamdi Kanu had gotten a favorable judgment at the same High Court, but the government of Nigeria, being lawless, did not follow it. They did not honor the court judgment. Who is this Alan Rose? What kind of mad woman is this? You are telling lies without the Ndi Igbo slave records. Who is this mad woman? Did you take anything this evening? Are you high? What do you mean? I said, if you have anything to counter here, come and counter. You keep saying you are telling lies. Where is the lie? That people were not taken away from Marina, or that they did not arrive in Denver Creeks. Go through our channel, you will see the video I just posted, where CISA, Council of Igbo-speaking States in America, just recently held their annual, I'm not saying one-off, annual conference. I posted a 2 hours long video of white people speaking the Igbo, white people affirming their Igbo identity. Some of them, Chief Obonna there, you saw him. There are so many of them. That's the madness with you. I posted the video, long 2 hours video. It is not more than 1 month old video. It's lies. What is lies? Telling lies to impress who? You or me? Or your friends? Do I know you before? So my friend in Nigeria doesn't know much history. Okay. So Nnamdi Kano's matter will go to appeal court. So the same appeal court will wonder, we had granted this guy bail before, so why is he still in detention? They will definitely grant him bail, that's certain. So judgments in Nigeria doesn't end at appeal. It can even go to Supreme Court if the person doesn't feel happy about the judgment. So that's that. Today we are talking about the Igbo cultural identity, differences between cultural identity and political identity. Political identity is the one you ask somebody, where are you from? You hear them say, I am from Anambra. Anambra is a political identity. In the past, where I am from, if you ask my grandparents or great-grandparents, where are you from? They will say, we are Midwestern Igbos. At a time, the government of Nigeria decided there was nothing like Western Igbos anymore. So they created Midwest. So if you ask somebody where you're from, they'll say, we are Midwestern Igbos. Until at a point, there was no more Midwest. It became states. So we're now called Bendel Igbos because we were now found in Bendel State. At a point too, in 1992, August 27, it was also decided that there's no more Bendel State. So we took up another identity as Delta State. They now started calling us Delta Igbos. You see, one thing is constant since I started. I've been saying Western Igbos, Midwestern Igbos, Bendel Igbos, now Delta Igbos. There was no time Igbo was missing from that identity. So we are Igbos, and that is our cultural identity. It is different from political identity. Political identity changes. Cultural identity doesn't change. So that is one of the core distinguishing factors of a cultural identity. It doesn't change. So while we were bearing Western Igbos, Midwestern Igbos, Bendel Igbos, Delta Igbos, now they call us Anyoma, we are still Igbos. And our culture remained the same. Yes, culture is dynamic and it evolves. But one thing remains fairly constant, and that is our tradition. Traditions like we having the kingship system that recognizes the first son, which is primogeniture, has remained our custom for over 800 years. Another custom and tradition that we practice that was handed to us by our ancestors, our forebearers, is the custom and tradition of Ebanko. It is all over Igbo land. The Igbo traditional marriage system. Our funeral rites have remained the same all over Igbo land. Our market days have remained the same all over Igbo land. If it is Eke in Ubuluku, it is Eke in every part of Igbo land. Isn't that wonderful? This predates the Gregorian calendar. It is older than the Gregorian calendar, and it is more sustainable than the Gregorian calendar. In my community, our 1 week is 4 days. Eke being the first day of the week. Eke, Oye, Afo, and Nkwo. These are the 4 Igbo market days, and that is our Izu. We call it Izu. The other Izu that is 7 days, we attach Oka to it, say Izu Oka. That is the week that is used to calculate church activity. For the cultural week of Ndi Igbo that we use to calculate our festivals and our cultural practices, because these things are not just names of markets. They are tied to custom and tradition. It is on Eke day that we conduct funeral. Eke Kaiji Anna. Nobody can be buried in my hometown on a day that is not Eke. Although, because of modernity, there are things you can do to buy a day. But I am just using all this to explain that cultural identity is fairly constant. Political identity changes from time to time. At one time, The people of present-day Rivers State were called Eastern Region. Until in 1967, Gowon said, if the East attempts to leave, that is, if they try to secede from Nigeria, I will create the core states. General Gowon made good of his threat by creating Cross River State and River State. He did not create Ogoja State because he said he would create core state, that's COR, Cross Rivers, Ogoja, and Rivers. He ended up creating just Cross Rivers and Rivers, and he mapped out all the Igbo speaking people into the states to reduce the numerical strength of Igbo. What is the implication of this? The implication is that you now have Igbo people in River State, Igbo people in Cross River State. Did it change their identity, their cultural identity change? No. Did their political identity change? Yes. They were no longer interested in being addressed as Eastern region, because for some of them, they were minority in that Eastern region. Even with Philip Effiong being the next in command to Ojukwu, he was still seeing himself as someone from minority Igbo states. So today we have Igbos in Port Harcourt, in River State, all over River State. We have them in all of Ikwere and Iwuruoha people. Ekpeye, Oba, and Ekpeye. We have Oba, Ebema, and Doni local government. And the people of Ahoda, Elele, and the rest, all these are Igbo speaking people. They speak a version of the Igbo language. But today they are caught in a web. They are caught in an identity crisis of not knowing where to align themselves. For some of them, they are Igbos, while for others, they don't want to be associated with Ndi Igbo. They are now in the Cross Rivers. They are now in the Rivers. And they want to maintain a separate identity. Otherwise, they were just a tribe of Igbo nation. Example is the Ikwere people. And that is the video I shared this evening, where the President of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, River State chapter, our brother Livingstone Wechie, clearly explained that the Ikwere people are Igbos. In fact, he cited the book written by, I won't say late because our kings don't die. Okay? So one of our ancestors now, Oba Erediuwa II, the immediate past Oba of Benin, he wrote a book. You know, he was a very well-respected civil servant in Nigeria. So he said he worked in Ahoda at some point in his life, in his biography. And he met this wonderful, hard-working group of people from Ahoda and Elele and the Ikwere, that they are pure Igbos. That is the custodian of Benin culture and tradition, affirming that the Ikwere people are Igbos. Whereas you will see the Ikwere people, some of them claiming that they are from Benin. It is people like us who are close to Benin that should be able to tell them. Geographically speaking, somebody from Owerri, somebody from Irete can say, I don't know if the people I'm addressing, if you know these areas, but let's just use it as an example. I'll cite other examples, okay? It's like somebody who lives in Sango. If you ask them where they live, they will say, I am in Lagos. Similarly, somebody who lives in present-day Ogun State, because some parts are now in Ogun State, Sango is in Ogun State, Ota. If you ask them where do they say Lagos. There are people who live in Ibuzo, Opanam, Ubolu, Oko. Ask them where they stay, they will say they are in Asaba. They are not in Asaba. That is what I believe happened to the ancestors of the Ikwere people, because their language is purely either Ika or Okwane. If you ask them where they are from, they will say they are Bini people. You are not Bini people when your father's name is Akalaka. The other group, their father's name is Ezechima. There's no possibility anywhere that you are from Benin. So the Oba of Benin, in his book, I Remain Sir, Your Loyal Servant. That is the title of his book when he was a civil servant. That's the memo he wrote about. It was his autobiography. He clearly stated in page 19 how the Ikwere people are Igbos. Ask the Ikwere man, where are you from? He will say, I'm from Benin. Probably because of the post-war narratives. After the Civil War, when Nigerian soldiers, God forgive me for calling it a civil war, after the genocidal war against the Igbo, people were denying their Igbo identity. Nobody wanted to be associated with Igbo anymore, because being associated with Igbo, even until this day, is to accept to be discriminated against. Is to accept all manner of injustice. There are two laws in Nigeria. The Federal Republic of Nigeria has two laws. One for Igbo and one for other Nigerians. There's something somebody will do and go scot-free, unchallenged, undisturbed. There are statements you will make and nobody worries about it. Let an Igbo man make that statement and he will find himself behind bars. I have personally found my own self behind bars for making just a statement. Just a statement. Behind bars that I found myself was not in Asaba, was not in Benin, which is the zonal head of this whole region. I found myself in Abuja. If not for the resilience of my community and how they stood to ensure that I was released, I would have been languishing there, because their plan was that I would stay there for months. So there are two different standards for Nigeria. As we speak now, all my mobile phones are still with the police in Abuja. So they are doing forensic analysis of my phones, probably to look for something to pin on me they haven't found. So they took all my phones, all my mobile phones. What is giving me the liberty to talk now is that I dragged them to court. So there are two laws. When I say there are two laws in Nigeria, I'm saying it from a point of experience. As somebody who has suffered this, I'm not saying many years ago, I was arrested on the 4th of May this year, taken to Abuja, FCID. I just heard a knock on my door one morning. I opened the door, Pram, you're under arrest. Straight to Abuja, by land. But God bless my community. I am from Ubuluku Kingdom, in Anyocha South local government area of Delta State. By the time I arrived at Abuja, even in cell, I was like Joseph. How my community were caring for me, bringing food for me, ensuring that I was well treated, securing legal services, ensuring that I was billed on time, booked a flight for me from Abuja back to my hometown, lodged me in a very comfortable hotel in Abuja after I was released, bought me food, bought me clothes. Which one will I mention? When I landed in Asaba, I was driven on a convoy back to my hometown, where 21 gunshots were released, and curse is laid on the people who instigated my arrest. I was treated like a king. What I'm trying to bring out here is that there are two laws in Nigeria, one for Ndi Igbo and one for other Nigerians. Just understand it that way. If you are an Igbo person, you need this basic understanding for your survival. Just know that the country that you are in has two laws. One for Nigerians, other Nigerians, one set of laws for Ndi Igbo. People like us have experienced it firsthand. What is giving me liberty today to talk to you as we are talking is because our matter is in court. A case between me and the IGP of Nigerian police. I'm not blowing it up all over social media because I believe the justice should take its course if Nigeria has one justice system at all. So this is for the person who brought up the matter of Nnamdi Kanu. We also have our own individual cases we are dealing with. And it will not change our identity. We are still Igbo people. The person who wrote petition against me said, I'm instigating chaos in the community. There's no chaos. The greatest chaos is not knowing who you are. The real chaos is you being confused. Where are you from? You say, I'm from Delta State. Delta State is not a cultural identity. It is a political identity. Delta State can never be a cultural identity. Where are you from? You say, I'm from Asaba. Wow, are you Igbo? You say, no. What is your name? You say, Felix. What is your Igbo name? No, okay. What is your community language name? You will hear them fooling themselves. You will see somebody whose name is Nwachukwu, Okonkwo, Ebube. Even kings deceiving themselves. So how will they like me in the first place? When you are busy deceiving yourself, I am busy exposing your lies. They recently started picking on the titles in Igbo land that started attributing it to Bini, some to Igala, and I laughed. Is it Bini that speaks Igbo language that you're talking about? Bini speaks a version of Igbo and Yoruba. Today I posted a video, and I'm sure that I'm very happy to see that that video is doing well. I didn't create that video today. If you look at it, you'll see that it's an old video. I listed 20 commonly used words in Bini that are Igbo words. Commonly used. If I do go into the general language, I should be talking about 100 to 200 words. But this one, I'm interested in the words that they say daily that are Igbo words. So, the cultural identity of Ndi Igbo remains intact, irrespective of the state where you find yourself. Whether you are in Kogi, whether you are in Benue, whether you are in Bayelsa, whether you are in Cross Rivers, whether you are in Akwa Ibom, whether you are in Rivers, whether you are in Delta, whether you are in Edo, it does not reduce your Igbo-ness. No part of Igbo land is superior to the other. We are just all Ndi Igbo. Accept it like that. Live with it that way. Don't try to change also. Don't try to also discriminate yourself, because self-discrimination is also very bad. You will see some people saying, we are not the mainstream Igbos. And that is where I picked interest in the Delta State's former Commissioner for Information. His name is Chiko Ogie. If you're just seeing this video, I failed to say that, and this is your first time of coming across our videos, please support our work by subscribing to our channel. You can also give this video a thumbs up and share to your audience. I don't have to keep repeating this. It is something you have to do to support our work. Like the video you're watching, then subscribe to the channel. This is the only thing you can do to support us. Some people even go the extra mile to give us super thanks. One of our wives, our brother married a good wife. She's a white woman. Anytime she sees my video, she'll give me super thanks. You send money to this YouTube channel, supporting what we are doing. So it's very important that as you're seeing such videos, you support it by liking it, engaging with it, sharing it. We are not enjoying anything now. We are leaving a legacy. Legacy that was passed down to us. My parents were not denying their Igbo identity. So my message is to make sure that I bring in as many people as well to not ever. Most of the names my father gave to me as names of items in our community and that are no longer in use are names that they are called in every part of Igbo land. One of them is Onoko, a sword. I have checked the ancient Igbo dictionaries compiled by Northcote Thomas, and I found that name Onoko. I said, wow. So the same thing we call sword is what these people call sword. I'm not talking of the ones that are in daily use. The daily used ones are very, very simple. Please give this video thumbs up, okay? I've just seen 6 thumbs up. If we have up to 100 thumbs up, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's have 1,000 as well. Subscribe to the channel you're watching too. We are doing a lot for Ndi Igbo. We are doing more than, this is not to boast. I'm a humble person, okay? I hate pride. Because as they say, pride goeth before a fall. May we not fall. We are doing more than Ohaneze Ndi Igbo. We are doing what Ohaneze Ndi Igbo should be doing. This is not me boasting. I'm telling you the fact. When Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was recently sentenced, I saw a statement by Ohaneze Ndi Igbo president and I laughed. It's not a time to issue statement through your secretary, no. Even if I know that he was planted there by the Southeast Governors Forum, who are stooges of the president. There is this So UK paid reparations. I don't understand. UK paid reparations. They didn't pay any reparations. I don't know what you're talking about anyway. So just make it clearer. Clyde Builds. Just ask me, what are you saying that the UK paid reparations for? Okay, let me read the first comment. You know the British taxpayer in 2016 was still paying for the debt the British Empire got into, stopping the abolishing slavery around the world. Wow. UK themselves are the ones who were the chief instigators of slavery. They stopped slavery because they found something more lucrative than slavery. What are those things they found? Till today, Shell is still one of the biggest oil companies in Nigeria. They have been here for around 60 years now, or be 50 something years. So slavery became old-fashioned. That was why they made sure they contributed efforts to see that it stopped, while they pushed for the next line of slavery, which is capitalism. They took over all our oil firms till today. Now, I'm not saying this ignorantly. I worked in the oil and gas industry for Total, E&P. So, I was assigned to Rivers State. One of my biggest astonishments in the oil and gas sector, I was a pipe welder anyway. One of my biggest astonishment or discoveries in the oil and gas sector is still there till today. What is that discovery? There's what is called OML, oil mining license. All the OMLs, of course, where I worked was OML 58. We're just doing upgrade of it. So all the OMLs in Igbo land and the whole of Niger Delta, the ones saying Igbos are coming to take our oil, they don't have anything in their place. It's just our oil they are looking for. I beg, we are not Igbos. All the OMLs are owned by Hausa and Yoruba people, then British people. None is owned by an Igbo man. If you know an Igbo man's name who owns oil well, mention them. I'm not sure if you can. You may find up to 2. Ask me to mention the Yoruba people. Should be talking of 10, 15, 20. Hausa, Sarah. These are the people you are saying Igbos are coming to take your oil. So some people have a problem when it is an Igbo man, but they feel okay. Example again. Go to every community in southern Nigeria today, including the Yorubas. Fulani herdsmen are in your forest, dealing with your women and children in the forest. They can't go to farm freely. They are also in other parts of southern Nigeria doing the same thing. Igbos are not in the forest. They are in the markets trading. The Yoruba man would rather have those herdsmen who are busy buying them every day than have an Igbo man prosper in his land. That is the same thing is happening in many parts of where they call Niger Delta. What is the meaning of Niger Delta? Is it an ethnic group? Niger Delta is not an ethnic identity. You are either from Calabari, you are Opobo, you are Andoni, you are Andoni, you are Ejo, you are Ishekiri, you are Isoko, you are Igbo, you are any of this. You are not a Niger Deltan. If you are a Niger Deltan, no problem. How many Niger Deltans own oil mining licenses and the oil that is mined in their backyard, the money comes to them? How many? None. Recently, one of the prominent repentant militants was given a contract as doing security for the oil pipelines. Everybody celebrated it. Of course, it's a good thing. But a step further is having your oil, being able to own the oil in your land. Let others come and mine, but the licenses belong to you and your kings. Some of these communities that I said that I worked in are no longer there today. They are in chaos because that lie is not sustainable. You come and mine oil in my place. You give slots to the king so that their people can work. Your own people are not working, but they are the ones reaping all the money. Who are these people? Hausa, Yoruba. When they conquered Igbo land, because a lot of people don't believe when I say we were conquered. We were fully conquered, and they shared everything we have as spoils. Part of the things shared are these oil wells. We'll continue to say this truth. These are not hidden truth anyway. People know them. So Ndi Igbo must unite. Ndi Igbo must unite. This is what Ohaneze Ndi Igbo should be preaching every day. There is no excuse. There's nothing like telling a Delta man now, an Igbo person in Delta, that you are not Igbo. No, he is Igbo. Why? Because the king of Ogwashuku fought alongside Biafra soldiers. Because the king of Ishago, who they know, if you don't know yourself, your enemies know you. Age egbugi egbugi piam piam. Ụtalị eji pịa nne ewu apịa ya nwa ewu. It's as simple as that. So they went to Ishagu by the king, his cabinet of chiefs, and every single male in the community. What you usually hear is nke mere na Asaba na-akpọ ya Asaba massacre. What of Ishagu? Ishagu is Isheagu. Type it into your search engine and find. Egbulu everybody ekwudolu n'Ishagu. Because they know where those people are from. Ishagu people are from Oka. Tomorrow you see somebody from there denying his Igbo identity. Why? Because of fear. You know you are Igbo. Why deny it? They will stick by you if they want to. So, late Ambassador Ralph Chukwu Uwechwe was President General of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo. He is from Ogwashuku. Chiko Ogie was a former Commissioner of Information in Delta State. So he appeared on Arise TV recently. And this Yoruba man, Abi, is a Bini man, that his head is not correct, that works with Arise TV. Trying to remember his name. I don't know why the name is skipping me now. But the man knows how to goof. This Yoruba man that works in Arise TV. Not the brilliant young man, the elderly one. Somebody should please remind me his name here in the comment section. This black Yoruba man, Ruben Abati. Thank you so much. This useless Ruben Abati was asking Chiko Ogie, who is from Asaba. He said, now that you are not from the mainstream Igbos, what do you think? And Chiko Ogie said, please repeat that. He said, you are not from the mainstream Igbo. So Chike asked him, what's the meaning of mainstream? Let me understand. He said, the 5 southeastern cities, the man told him, don't ever. There's nothing like mainstream Igbo. Every part of Igbo land is mainstream. I am from Asaba, and no Igbo town, that is Chike talking, not me, I'm not from Asaba. No Igbo town has suffered the way Asaba suffered. It was Asaba people that were lined up and died completely. Until today, no remorse, no reparation, no sorry, no rehabilitation. So, that is just pretty